What's going on everyone, I'm Pierre from Weepy Creators, and if you're new to this channel, welcome. Today we're going to have a look at how to shoot in manual mode in a segment that I would like to call 2-Minute Wednesdays. All of these methods would apply both for when taking pictures and when shooting videos. So be sure to stick around until the end and let's see if we can set up our cameras in only 2 minutes. Hit that timer. So the first thing that we want to do is to switch over to manual mode. So switch that knob and get one step closer to our goal. Now when taking pictures, we can play around quite a lot. So if it's a sunny day outside and you want to get that sweet blurry background, dial your shutter speed to 125 and your aperture to the lowest it can go. And on this lens, that would be f3.5. Next, you want to dial your ISO to 200 max, nothing more than that, otherwise your image would be too bright. If the image you see is still too bright, dial down the ISO to 100 and bring up your shutter speed. So the higher your shutter speed goes, less light comes in, and this would also apply for aperture. A higher aperture would mean less light hitting the lens, and a lower aperture would mean more light hitting the lens. So it all depends on the type of image that you are going for. When shooting landscapes on a sunny day, you can close down your aperture to f11 and bring down your shutter speed to 60 and dial up your ISO. Now remember, a smaller aperture creates a blurry background. Shallow depth of field is what it's called. And generally when shooting portraits or close-ups, we want our aperture to be opened up all the way to make that background nice and blurry. And when it comes to landscapes, we generally want to see all the details in the shot, so remember to then close down your aperture. Okay, last one, and this one is kinda important, and it's called white balance. So normally I keep my white balance on 5300 so it's not too warm or too cold. A higher white balance would mean a warmer image and a lower white balance would mean a colder image, but it's all up to you on where you want to place it. Now on to making videos. If you want to have smooth motion, set your frames per second to 24 and change your shutter speed to 50. Here we are using the 180-degree rule, so just double what your frames per second is on. So when you're shooting 30 frames per second, change your shutter speed to 60, and when shooting 60 frames per second, change your shutter speed to 120. Next, you want to change your ISO to 400 depending how bright it is, and for indoors, never more than 1000, or depending on the camera that you have. If your image is still too bright, you can change your aperture to 5.6 or higher. But again, if you're looking for that blurry background, open it up all the way and you're ready to go. So to recap, ISO makes your image brighter. The higher the ISO, the brighter the image gets. But it would also create a grainy image if the ISO is too high. Shutter speed changes the speed of your shutter. A lower shutter speed makes for a brighter image and a higher shutter speed makes for a darker image. So this is a great way to control your exposure and to control the motion in your image. Aperture creates the depth of field. The higher your aperture gets, the more things would be in focus, and the lower your aperture gets, less things would be in focus. It's also a great way of controlling your exposure, so when shooting inside, open that aperture all the way up to get more natural light into your image. And for landscapes, close that aperture down to get more things in focus and also to control your exposure. And the last one, white balance. A higher white balance means a warmer image and a lower white balance means a colder image. And as a good rule of thumb, when shooting on a bright sunny day, put your white balance on 5000 or 5500 to get a nice balanced image. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful, and if you have any questions or suggestions, please leave your comments down below. And if this video was your type of video, hit that subscribe button, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, remember to smash that like button. And remember, stay creative.